So let's talk a little bit about this. So if you guys don't know if you guys haven't heard my story, I came here, like I said, back in October of 2018. I had no experience prior to 2017 in insurance. I was in the call center business for a long time. And I got to this point where I got my insurance license to do this part-time while I was working my full-time job. Then I got laid off in 2017, and then I decided to get to work full-time in insurance. I joined an IMO that just wasn't the right fit for me. It was more of the MLM IMOs, which you guys are probably aware of. Then I thankfully got introduced to Grady, and then I joined Family First Life. Why am I sharing that with you? Well, A, that's kind of where I came from, but B, what I want you guys to really understand is this. We all have a job. My job is to fight for my family. I'm an immigrant. I don't know if you guys know that, or I was an immigrant, I should say. My family immigrated here when I was 7 months old from a country called Latvia, which was part of the Soviet Union back in the day. We were poor. We lived in the projects. We had no money. We had 8 people living in a 2-bedroom apartment, and the cards were stacked against us. But the one thing that I learned through my upbringing and through my parents, which I'm so thankful for, is to work hard. To work hard and work your freaking tail off. And my dad and my mom, and they've always done that, and they've instilled that into me. And so I want to make sure that you guys understand that the only thing that stands between you and being a top producer like Gage and all these other great top producers is the activity, which is really hard work, and then learning the skills that everyone has already not even the skills, learning what's needed to help clients, right? Learn what's needed. Be a student of the business, right? And so for me, like when I started with Family First Life, my back was against the wall. Had a little bit of money in my pocket, not a lot. I was scared. Almost everybody that comes into here is scared. Maybe not everybody, but I'd say most people that I speak with are scared. They're skeptical, they're scared. Can I do this? Is this for me? Can I actually make money? Is this legit? Like everyone thinks that. I thought that. But I can, number one, tell you confidently without a shadow of a doubt, number one, this is real. It's completely changed my life upside down in more ways than I can ever imagine in a very short period of time. But I had to fight for it. I had to fight for it. But the question is, are you fighting for it? Because I'm continuing to fight every single day. And I don't do this just for me. I do this for my clients. Number one, I fight for them because sometimes they need us to fight for them. Sometimes you're sitting with a husband and wife and the husband's saying no, and the wife is looking at you like, what do I do? But I need it. So are you stepping up and are you advocating on the behalf of the wife and trying to make sure that the husband understands that you're trying to protect her? I'm fighting for my family. I'm fighting to make a difference in the legacy of my family. And I'm sharing that with you guys because if you're not fighting and you're just existing, you can exist in many other places, guys, but you can get ahead here. You can completely change the legacy of your entire life, your entire family in a short period of time here. I don't know if you guys know this. Grady Polcyn has been with the company for about 2.5 years. And in 2.5 years, it's about to be 3 in the next 6 months, Grady's going to probably have an integrity deal here not too long. He's completely changing his entire family's life. His kids are going to be set for life. He's going to be set. And I'm super thankful to be working with him and putting us in this position to allow us to do that. And he set a lot of this up for our team, right? Him along with many of the other people that chipped in. But you guys have to understand, 3 years is not a long time. For him to bust his tail for 3 years to get ahead, to really make a generational impact is unheard of in most people's lives. But guess what? Each and every one of you have that same opportunity. If today is your first day, you haven't even completed contracting, you're learning, you're looking at me and you're like, who's this crazy immigrant on my phone talking to me? Whatever you're saying, right? Like, it doesn't matter. You have just as much of a chance as I do, as Gage does, as Nina does, and as every other top producer or agency leader on this team. You can pass all of us. But do you have a limiting belief? If the answer is yes, you got to change what's going on in here, right? When I started, I had a limiting belief. I was like, I'll be happy to make $1,000 a week. I was like, if I can make $1,000 a week, I'm making $4,000 a month. My bills are going to get paid. I'm going to be comfortable. I started making $1,000 a week in my second week. And I'm like, wait, I can do that fast? So if I can do it that fast, how much can I do now? All of a sudden I'm making $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a week. Next thing you know, I'm like, holy cow, my bank account's pretty fat. How many of you guys want a fat bank account? I know it's not all about money and we're here to serve, but guys, we're working. We want to make money. Who wants a fat bank account? Let me see some dollar signs in that. If you want a fat bank account, how fat do you want that? You want some commas in there? Because I like having commas in my bank account. And if you don't have any commas yet, wait till you do. Those commas are sweet. Oh, yeah. You guys want some commas. All right. You guys want some money. All right. So listen, guys. We have a lot of great training here at Family First Life, and specifically our team, our organization, Family First Life America. Like, Grady has put together an amazing platform for every one of us to go out there and grow and get the tools we need to educate ourselves. But it starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with what's going on in our mind. Are you fighting like your back is against the wall? If the answer is no, go harder. Trevor, you are. You just started and you got 18 apps and a bunch of business. You are. You could probably go harder too. We can all go harder, guys. But the end of the day, we all have to go harder. Why? Because that's how we set ourselves free. When you go hard for spurts of time, you're gonna help a bunch of clients. You're gonna make a ton of money. You're gonna inspire a bunch of people, and that's how you get ahead, right? And so, guys, I challenge you: don't get comfortable. Okay, if you made some money this past week, and now maybe you have more money in your bank account than you're used to because maybe your job pays you $3,000 a month, but you made $3,000 this last week. So you're like, crap. Well, I just made $3,000, which normally takes me a month. I mean, my account's a little bit fatter than I'm used to. That's nothing. Okay. I'm sharing that with you because, guys, you have to go more. You have to think bigger. There's going to be hundreds of millionaires made at Family First Life. We are going to be talked about for decades, this company. And you, right now, can make a decision to be one of those. Or you can make a decision not to be. I choose to be one of those. Many of you will choose to be that. But you guys have to fight for it, okay? You guys have to demand of yourself what you expect. So if you want to be a top performer, but you're not setting at least 24 appointments, really you're probably going to need to be 30 appointments a week. You're not demanding yourself to be great, right? What do I mean by demanding? Like, when I started, I wanted to get this so bad. I wanted to make as much money as I possibly could make and be financially in a place where I'm not stressing out, which many of us maybe come into this where we're in a financial bind and we're stressing. We need to make money. I did everything in my power to learn, to book as many appointments, to pick the brains of top producers, to just go ham. And so I'm challenging each and every single one of you. If you're not thinking that way, your activity is not doing that. You don't have that type of activity to reach out to people, to learn, to watch more videos, and just pour all your free time into this. Put the TV away, put the extracurricular activities away for a while, and just soak it up. I promise you it'll change your life like it did mine, like it's doing to Grady's, like it's doing to many other people here. But guys, it's all about, what are you going to do with your time? Are you going to be a top producer? Are you going to invest in the leads and get uncomfortable? Are you going to say the things to the customer that maybe makes you feel uncomfortable, but helps the client make a good decision? Are you going to do what's necessary? A lot of you guys want change. A lot of you guys are new. There's two things that I can tell you that will allow you to be great in this business. If you're not writing this stuff down, you've already lost, okay? Two things. Number one, you got to work hard, okay? There's no success without hard work. Doesn't matter where you look, what industry you look at, you got to work hard. You got to be willing to do the work, okay? Some weeks it might require 50 hours. Some weeks it might require 60. Some weeks you might be able to get away with 40, but you got to be able to do the work. I came from a job where I was making six figures, and then all of a sudden I was barely making 50 grand a year. And now I'm obviously back above six figures, you know. So you got to be willing to do the work and humble yourself. Don't have an ego here. Humble yourself to learn what you need to learn, to push yourself to that level that you want to get to, okay? Fight for it, guys. What's your why? If you don't know your why and you're not fighting for it, then you're really never going to get ahead. So I challenge you to write it down, push for it, and act every day as if it's your last. And if you do that and you put all the energy into it, you're going to blast forward. So I hope that helped one of you. I had to put that out there, guys. Like I love each and every one of you, whether I've met you or I haven't met you, whether you're on my team directly or not. Like, I want you all to win so freaking bad. And the reason why is because I see what it's doing to my life, and it's just a blessing, and I'm so grateful and thankful for it. And I want you guys all to experience the same thing. I want you guys to have happiness and peace in your life, but it starts with hard work. Now I will step off the pedestal. All right. With that said, I want to bring on my man, Eric Schmidt. I've had the pleasure of meeting Eric Schmidt about a year ago, a few months after I got started with Family First Life. And if you guys don't know Eric Schmidt, so number one, Eric Schmidt is an assassin when it comes to insurance. So he's a Hall of Fame producer. About to hit Hall of Fame again, probably this month. Last time he may even hit it actually this month once the issue paid numbers come out, because from what I understand, I think Eric was right around 380,000 as of like a week or two ago. That's for the year, right? So 6 months, 7 months into the year, the guy is about to hit Hall of Fame. The guy's an animal. He's personally helped me. I don't think I've actually shared this with you, Eric, but you've actually personally helped me in my business through a lot of the trainings that you've done that I've incorporated into my in-home. So I thank you for sharing that, because my bank account thanks you as well, and so does my daughter. But SVP, working his way up the rankings. I have no doubt in my mind Eric's going to get an integrity deal. And so, Eric, welcome on, man.
Thank you so much, Julius. I appreciate it.
You got it, man. Why don't you kind of get us started with a little bit about you, and kind of tell everybody about yourself, and then we'll kind of get into it.
Sure. So I'm 48. I'll be married 23 years in a few days, all to the same woman, all in a row. I have a 15-year-old son, 11-year-old daughter, and a 9-year-old daughter. I first met Sean Mike in 1997, 1998. I was in the automotive business, and we had a mutual friend. That friend owned the dealership that I worked at, and Sean was working for Department of Children and Families and doing construction and real estate. And when he needed a car, I helped him out. So in 2008, Sean introduced me to life insurance. I did it for about 3-6 months, somewhere around there. Obviously, it was a much different, business than what we have today with FFL. And in 2008, when that housing crash happened, I decided to stay focused on the automotive business. I was getting ready to have my second child at the time, and I just focused on cars. Fast forward 10 years later, I'm making about $200,000 a year in the car business, which sounds real great. But as a W-2 position, when you're married, you have 3 children, you have a mortgage, you have car payments, you have college, you have activities, you have life. It's kind of just enough to get you into trouble, Julius, in Connecticut. And I was doing about 65 hours a week inside the showroom at the dealership. I was a general manager, general sales manager there. It was a 45-minute commute each way. And I was missing a lot of stuff with my kids, whether it was parent-teacher conferences, ball games, plays, recitals, that Saturday barbecue that your spouse asks you to be a part of because she doesn't want to go alone or he doesn't want to go alone. And I was like, well, I can't go. If, I can take a sick day, I can take a vacation day, but I can't go. And I also am very passionate about coaching youth. I'm a high school football coach. So there was no way that I could squeeze, out of the same 168 hours a week that we all get, I just couldn't squeeze any more in, especially since I was locked in at the dealership. So after seeing the numbers and watching and being dripped on by FFL on Facebook, I reached out to Eric Anthony and I said, if these numbers are real, and I've known Vern for a long, long time, I said, if these numbers are real, then I'm out of the car business because I know I can replace my full-time income and dictate my own schedule. It was a no-brainer. So I passed my exam in December of 18. I went part-time the balance of December, January, February, went to convention in February of 19. And by mid-March, I knew that I could replace my full-time income with what I was doing here. So I gave my notice, 2-week notice at the dealership. And in this little small state of Connecticut, kind of shocked the world because I was in the car business for almost a quarter century, and which sounds a lot longer than 23 years. So I like saying it that way. So after 23 years, I walked away from the car business, and because I knew I could replace my full-time income with what Sean had put together here. Mm-hmm. So with that, I knew that if I could walk away from the car business and replace what I was doing here, doing there with what's going on here, I'd also have a great story to quote unquote sell to other women and men that might be in a similar position, whether it's in mortgage or whether it's in automotive field or whatever. So I had a lot of, not only did I have my wife, and my children that I wanted to make proud, but I also wanted to, prove a point that the car business isn't a death sentence. And because when you start making 40, 60, 80, 100, $120,000 a year in the car business, and I graduated from UConn, and it's not required to sell cars to graduate from college, nor is it for life insurance or anything else. But there's, once you start making that kind of money, if you want to make more, typically you have to go backwards to be able to go forwards. And for whether I was right or wrong, my family and my budget was not set up to go backwards. So I couldn't do it. So, every year that I made more money in the car business, I painted myself deeper into the corner. Mm-hmm. And so finally, with FFL, I had that opportunity where I didn't have to go backwards. So since then, my issue paid number was $472,000 last year, from April, in an 8 months plus this little bit of part-time business, mostly all life business. We okay?
Sorry about that. I think that's mine.
Okay. Mostly all life business. And as you mentioned, we'll see the numbers will come out tomorrow, right? But I think the CRM is always a couple weeks behind, but I think I'll probably crack 400 this week, if not next week.
How do I turn that off?
Maybe turn your mic off for a minute. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I get it.
And so now we're building a big team. You and I were just together not that long ago down in Sarasota. I probably have 64, 65 writers in the month of July. We'll probably do real close to 450,000 issue paid. We're somewhere between 4 and 450, 5-week month. And we probably have about 82 writers right now, Julius, in contracting. So my goal at convention this year was not only to be $1 million lifetime producer myself, which yeah, I'm definitely on track to do that, with 472 and Fornia. So, and to be $1 million issue paid agency by the end of the year. And I knew an important piece of that was going to be to have 100 writers going into September. So with massive amounts of action as far as ZipRecruiter, Career Builder, Facebook, Indeed, LinkedIn, having a full-time staff of 3, office space here at corporate, access to the corporate team, we're going down that path. So
awesome, man. Awesome. Well, great job to you and your team. And, one thing I wanted to kind of shed light on it, if you guys didn't catch it. So Eric came from the car business where he was working about 60 hours a week, where he was tied to a desk, right? Tied to the dealership. But then, what he did was he took that activity and he brought that same activity to Family First Life and tripled his income, or doubled last year, right? It'll be more than tripled this year. But he didn't that. I think that's one of the pitfalls that many folks, when they jump into this business, they get into, is they have the activity at work because they're required to, but now they're in business for themselves. They think they can cut corners and they don't keep that same activity up. And because of that, their success could flounder a little bit. So you kept that activity up and boom, you just shot through the roof, right? So great job, man. Well, awesome story. Let's jump into some stuff that can help some folks, because obviously you're a great producer. You're going to hit Hall of Fame again for the second time. So let's talk a little bit about some production. So let's start with some lead stuff. What leads you running out there?
If I could just touch on one thing that, just to piggyback on something you just said. So,
sure.
You mentioned, obviously, FFL America, I'm on your all's website every day, taking stuff, stealing stuff. But I think, what made my transition a little bit easier for some of the brand new people, Julius, was having that conversation with the other people in my family, whether that's children, spouse, parents, sisters, brothers, whatever your makeup is at the house, to make sure they know what the next 90 days are going to look like. Now, when I was in the car business, my wife already knew, my crazy work ethic and the amount of hours I put in. But if you look at the average person that's at a 40-hour W-2 job, they're probably working somewhere between 8 and 10 hours a week. I mean, really working. The rest of the time, they're looking at this thing, or they're talking about that thing or whatever. So, I think what it takes to get this thing going. I think it's fair to tell your partner, your spouse, your children, whoever's important in your life, what it's going to look like, and I think that's important. So. I just wanted to share that. With leads, I'm running kind of what a lot of folks are running. I have a standing order at Lead Bank Direct on John Hancock and on Final Expense. I never turn it off. I use Game Time Leads with Andrew Pryor. I use Leadrilla. I just saw some email that came across. They've kind of figured out some bad number thing. I use Leadrilla. I think that's it. Happy Agent Leads, which are a little bit more expensive.
Doing Final Expense?
Yeah, those are all Final Expense. That's what I do for the Final Expense side. Okay. I utilize a CRM, especially when Sean gives us a discount, the 30% off. I'll get into some things that I've been doing as an agency owner, as far as those are concerned, here in a second. And then on the mortgage side, I'm doing retro. I have committed to 30 a week, but I don't get 30 a week. But I kind of like the airplanes, I want to overbook all the time. So I said, hey, give me 30 a week, and if I get 30, great. If I get 5, I get 5. So I overcommit on those. I also have Mail Pro, Final Expense, in a county here in Connecticut. I also have Lead Concepts for brand new mortgage. I have that in every county in Connecticut and every county in Massachusetts. And I also get I've done retro with Lead Co. That's a mail drop. I did all of Massachusetts, all of Rhode Island, all of Connecticut. Now I own all that data, so we can remarket those people. And And then I use like I think I already mentioned, I use the CRM. So
Well,
and EverQuote, and I have EverQuote on as well.
So guys, if you guys aren't taking note, number one, he's sharing with you his exact lead sources, right? Which we all have the same opportunity, right? But Eric, I think one of the things that obviously one of the reasons why you're a top performer is you invest heavily in the leads, right? As every other top performer. And so if the one thing that you get away from this call, and hopefully you'll get more than one thing, but if you take away one thing is if you want to become a top producer, you have to have a lot of leads. You have to have a lot of opportunities so you can go and sit with families. I mean, he rattled off 8 to 9, 10 different lead sources that he uses. Well, yes, his lead bill's higher, but he's also going to be making almost $1 million on just selling insurance, right? So it's, you invest, but then you get a return on your investment. So awesome, man.
I think it's important not to be beholden just to one lead provider.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you ever have, hopefully, part of your all's process is everyone has a conversation with Sasha, to get that going. But because you never know when one of these lead providers are going to shut down, or a holiday screws up the mail, or Biden or Trump are taking all this space up on Facebook. So you got to have that lead flow, especially as a producer. And then if once you go to the agency owner side, you have to have that extra to build into it, right? So like when I committed to all this office space here, corporate upstairs, I didn't need it all. It was just me, but I knew I would build into it, right? So it was important.
Awesome. All right. Well, we have a lot of people joining, Eric, as you do, I'm sure. Let's talk to the folks about kind of what you do from a production standpoint. Maybe talk to us a little bit about kind of how you at least start your in-home, maybe like your opener, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay, cool. And remind me what I did. Remind me to talk about what I did for my agents on the CRM deal. Okay. Remind me about that after.
Yeah, we actually did that also.
No, you
Grady,
did. Okay,
Grady told us about that, so but we can chat about that for sure.
I have a different idea that I'm coming out with, so maybe I'll share with you off air, and you can share with your group afterwards.
All right.
All right. So in home, in the very beginning, so coming from the car business, right? Really transactional. Okay. There's no chargebacks in the car business. Okay. At least when you sell a car. So someone comes on the lot, they like it. They, you find something that fits their budget. You give them enough for the trade. They get approved by the bank. They roll off the lot. Boom, it's done deal. There's no givebacks. Okay. Mm-hmm. And when I first started doing insurance, I was kind of going in with that same mentality, which is not very good because, they have a 30-day free look or a 20-day free look, depending on your state. And it is an emotional purchase. They make a decision today. There's nothing for them to touch tomorrow to look at it. So that definitely bit me in the butt, a little bit in the beginning. So rather than wasting time, I kind of totally changed my in-home. And I've talked about this with Mike Sizer on a podcast. But when I go into a home, the only thing that I have on the desk, on the table, okay, and we'll skip, taking my shoes off and all that other stuff. Okay. But when I get to the table, when we sit down, all I have on the desk is the lead sheet, right? That's it. I don't unpack my bag. This is what I do. Doesn't mean it's right, but I mean, all I have is the lead sheet. I don't have my computer out, nothing. My backpack is on the floor, and that's it. And I'm like, all right, Julius, why don't you tell me a little bit about why you filled out this form, so I know how to best, guide you and make this a really efficient, appointment for both you and I, because I'm sure you're busy, and I know I'm busy. And then I just give them the lead, and I let them relook at it, so they can kind of find that emotion that, why they filled it out. Mm-hmm. So, and I give them the floor, it's a good 5 or 10 minutes. Now I've only taken 5 minutes in the beginning to tell them, what I do, I tell them that this is not a part-time gig for me. It's not a side hustle. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but this is my full-time job. I meet with about 120 families a month, about 30 families a week. I'm the senior field underwriter for all of Connecticut, all of Massachusetts, and I drive about 1,500 miles a week in my car, just to kind of set the table so they know how busy I am. Yeah. And they all sit back in their car, in their chair, and just like, we're talking to the busy guy.
Right.
So then they start, telling me why they filled out the form. So if it's a final expense, well, I just want to make sure when I leave that, my daughter, doesn't have to pay for anything. Okay. I'm like, okay, well, if you passed away yesterday, what's the situation? And I use yesterday because I can't change yesterday, and they all appreciate that. So I said, well, why don't you tell me, what it looks like if you passed away yesterday? I'm like, now you're in heaven looking down. What's your daughter dealing with? Um, then she just tells me, and every story is a little bit different. And they're going to sugarcoat it a little bit, but I'm sitting in her apartment. I'm sitting in her house. I know how much stuff is in there. I know, so I'm like, well, do you have any insurance right now? Do you have any coverage? No, I don't. I said, well, does your daughter know that you don't have any coverage? Does she know where you keep all your important paperwork? Is it in a shoebox underneath the bed or in the closet or safe deposit box? Yeah. Okay, well, if you passed away yesterday and your daughter goes to wherever all the important papers are, do you think she's expecting to see some type of life insurance policy there that's going to kind of help her pick up all the pieces and allow her to take time off from work and grieve you passing and clean up all this stuff that's in this house and get rid of it? Or do you think she's not expecting to see something? She's probably expecting to see something. I'm like, okay, well, what's she going to find?
Oh, wow. That's good.
And then typically it's nothing, right? I mean, we work, that's our client base. That's a 1% of middle income America. And when I say that, then obviously we're getting a little bit more real into the appointment, Julius. And I'm like, okay, so she's going to find nothing.
Mm-hmm.
How's that make you feel? If she finds nothing, how is she going to deal with it? Does she have like a big credit line? Does she have other family? So we just start figuring all that stuff out. It's kind of the same thing on the mortgage, right? If there's a big disparity in income, if the wife makes a lot more than the husband, and there's, 1.8 kids, what's going to happen, if your wife doesn't come home from work, well, she's got life insurance. Okay, well, typically most of our clients do have life insurance. This is a mortgage protection appointment. But I'm sure that was there for income replacement. That has nothing to do with the mortgage that you just got this month. Is that fair to say? Yeah, I guess it is. Okay. So, what's the plan? Can you stay in this house? You just put down $5, $10, $20,000. Your kid's going to continue to go to school in this district, so I make it extremely real. And then once that I figured out that they've proven to me, Julius, that they're in a position that not only that they want life insurance, but now they realize how badly they do need it, then I'm like, okay, well, let me explain to you how the appointment's going to go. What we're going to do first is I'm going to show you my license. Not that I'm required to do so, but people like knowing that they're working with a state licensed agent. Then I'm going to show you all the carriers that I'm contracted with, and you'll recognize most of them. Then I'm going to ask you some basic health questions and basic financial questions. And based on the answers to those questions, I'm going to guide you on the policy that makes the most sense on your specific situation because of all the thousands of cases that I've already worked with. And then we're going to get you pre-approved. And that pre-approval is based on your prescription history, and your prescription history is tied to your social security number, okay? And once I get you pre-approved, we're going to go over the policy in detail. We're going to make sure we find something that's affordable for you and that you're comfortable with. And once we've done that, we're going to complete the rest of the application, which will include your banking information. And we'll see if we can get you approved while I'm right here. Does that make sense? 10 out of 10 say yes, okay? And I go, shall we proceed? And that's my first trial close to see if they've agreed to all that stuff that I told them that's going to happen. The 8 out of 10 will say, oh, yeah, let's go, because I need to fix that pile of crap I just put on the table. And then 2 out of 10 people will say, well, I just really wanted a price. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not the price guy. I'm the local field underwriter that was assigned to your case to come out here to see what you qualify for so I can fix that big pile of garbage that you just vomited all over the desk. Does that make sense? Well, yeah. Well, we wanted to shop around. Perfect. I am the shop around guy. Okay. I am the mega mall. Okay. Because I have every A-rated carrier that you would ever want to do business with. And if I don't have it, you don't want to do business with them. So I'm going to do all the shopping with you, for you, because the insurance carrier has already compensated me to be here. Okay. And that's in my head, based on a training from, oh my gosh, I can't remember the person now, but one of the top producers, every dial you make is worth X. Every appointment you go is worth X, Yeah, John said that. Yes, he's the number guy. So like in my head, I've already been compensated for the visit. So when they open the door, I'm like, okay, that's what I've made on this visit. Yeah. So just to be clear, I'm here for you, Bob and Mary. So if you want me to help you, I can help you. If not, I have a lot of other families to help. And again, I haven't taken anything out of my bag yet.
Yeah.
So it's easier for me to leave. I grab my bag and I walk. Okay.
Dude, that's super solid. So when I mentioned earlier, you helped me, that specific part that you just went over is what I tweaked in my presentation. So before I heard that podcast, I experienced two things. And so one, I was selling about 30K a month, right? This was like late last year. I heard that podcast, and my approach was different, and I'm not going to share it because it's not as good as what you're sharing. But when I was still selling a bunch, but B, I was starting to get some chargebacks because I really wasn't finding the why. So by doing that, I switched at the beginning of the year, and I do that every time now as I find out the why right away. And then I you ask multiple layer questions to find out what, how, where, when, right? Just dig. And then you understand the situation so you can fix the problem or create a solution for their problem, right? As soon as I've done that, Eric, I mean, that shot me up to, I haven't been under 30K since, right? So it's like, if you guys are hearing this, you guys need to, put this into your business, because I guarantee you it will help. So thanks for sharing that, because that's what I wanted to mention, but making it real that's all the business right there.
And a lot of times I use the same word. So someone say, well, like so I'll say, well, Mary, if Bob doesn't come home from work yesterday, what's the scene here today? Mm-hmm. And she'll say, well, we're screwed. I'm like, okay, well, I know what screwed means at my house. What does it mean here?
There you go.
Well, it means we can't live here anymore. I'm like, okay, well, how long can you live here? 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, maybe like 3 months. I'm like, okay, where are you moving to? Does all this stuff fit in your sister's house, or do you have to put it into storage, or are you going to sell it all? You're going to have a garage sale, then I talk about the children in different school systems. So I definitely want to know what's going to happen. Do they have to move out of state? Do they have to move back in with their mom? What about the deposit? All that stuff. So, it definitely was a game changer for me, and it's the same thing. Literally I can press play when I go into a house. I say the exact same thing every single time.
Yep. And yeah, that's the key to be consistent in the home. You're going to have consistent results, right? You change it up all the time. You're going to be all over the place. Awesome, man. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. And when they say yes, let's proceed. Like, they're excited to proceed. When I say, shall we proceed? Oh, yeah. That's what we're going to do. Let's go. And I've already told them I'm getting their social. So they've agreed to that. I told them I'm getting their banking information. They agreed to that. Okay. I told them we're going to find something affordable, because no one's looking for another bill. And I'm like, trust me, I'm the person that's going to get you the best features and benefits at the lowest state regulated premium. That's my single, and that's my sole job. That's what I'm here to do. And I always tell them I'm not the fancy guy. If you think I was going to come in here and start doing PowerPoints and slideshows, I'm not the fancy guy. So I can get you the fancy guy, but that's not me. And they're like, oh, no. We want you. I'm like, okay.
Grady, one of the things I learned from Grady when I was first getting started, and he talks about this often in trainings, is you're looking to decrease sales pressure, but increase credibility. And you do that, probably better than anybody. So awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that. Obviously, you're getting a lot of love. Guys, if you're getting some gold from Eric, drop a 100 in the chat. Show Eric some love for all the gems that this guy is dropping here for us, and everything that he's doing and giving back and pouring into us. Look at that. They love you, man. They love you. All right, so let's talk a little bit. Any other tips outside of the in-home, the control, the opener? Any other tips that you just want to share from a production standpoint before we start talking about agency building?
Yeah. So if someone's like in their 20s and 30s, we all have our go-to products. Whether that's you're super comfortable with an IULE, which I am not, or you're super comfortable with the HMS CBO, which I am. Or, you know, we have our clients that are looking for equity protection that are 60 plus, 70 plus, that may be on one HBTP or two, or they might have this, that, or the other thing. But it's that client between 45 and 55 that sometimes is like, man, I'm stressed out. You know, this guy's got a nice house. He makes good money, you know, boom, boom, boom.
Okay.
So where do we go with those clients, right? So I'm on a mortgage protection. I got this client. They make some money. Maybe he makes 150. Maybe she makes 30. They have, you know, 3 kids. Where am I going to go with this client? You know, that's where that financial inventory worksheet is so important, because we want to know if they're planning on paying extra towards the mortgage every single month, okay, and how much money they're saving on average on a month, okay. So everyone wants to pay off their mortgage early. No one wants to pay a mortgage for the next 30 years. So whatever money goes in that box, obviously we know we can use that as far as premium is concerned, okay? And whatever they're putting into savings, if it's a CDO product, we can use that money as well, okay? So I'm a big fan of letting them know that I'm not a big fan of sending money to Wells Fargo every month, you know, to pay down my principal. Wells Fargo has enough money. They don't need my extra money. I'd rather protect my family than give Wells Fargo extra money, but still have a plan to pay off the house in 25 years. So I use the Francophilia training. You know, I just watched another one the other night. You know, I mean, you know, so I use that a lot with the mortgage calculator, and, you know, looking at how much they're going to owe and things like that. So I use that a lot. And I talk a lot about how it's not going to affect their budget at all. Okay. So if they're already spending 150 extra on the principal and they're putting 200 to 300 away in savings, you know, that's $350. You know, my product is going to cost less than $350 unless they're smokers and they want to go 20 years or something. Okay. So this is not going to, not only it's not going to cost, it's not going to change your budget. Okay. But you're also going to get it all back. Okay. But along the way, if you have a heart attack, stroke, cancer, Lou Gehrig, something major, you can't do 2 of the 6 living daylight activities. You know, there's money here to protect you, where right now you don't have anything. Okay. So it's just a reallocation. Instead of putting 350 there, we're going to put 350 here, and now you can sleep well at night if something happens. Okay. Rather than the money in the savings account earning 1/8 of 1%, you know, that's not going to help you when you need it. Okay. Excuse me. So,
Cool. All right.
So I definitely use that. And then one other thing, and I don't know if we're up against the clock or not. I apologize.
We're good. As long as you're good, we're good.
But when I'm with that client, you know, we'll keep with this 50-year-old guy. Okay. You know, I'm going to get him pre-approved before I go into any type of pricing. Okay. I think a lot of people do pricing before pre-approval. Okay. So why would I ever sell someone, you know, a bottle of water if I don't know if they can get approved for it? Okay. So if I'm sitting down with someone and they could be, you know, they could be equity protection with an Eagle, or it could be a CBO or 125 or payment protection, or with or without continuation, I'm going to put them through the MIB to see if they qualify for that HMS product first. Okay. If they qualify for that HMS product, okay, then I know they're going to qualify for everything else. But I don't just stop when I get that message that says the proposed insurers may qualify for level death benefit. Please, you know, ask all the questions. I don't say, hey, congratulations. I continue going through all the pages and answering all the questions. Okay. If there's a question that's in red, then obviously we need to dive a little bit deeper. Okay. And I'll put all the beneficiaries in there. I don't care how many there are. I'm going to put them all in. Okay. And then once I get to the banking screen, then I'll stop. And then I'll say, okay, you know, Julius, great news. It looks like you are pre-qualified for this product. So let me show you how they work. And then I'll say, typically what most of my clients, they go with one or two of these, one or the other policy. Okay. I'm going to explain them both to you. And one is the payment protector with or without continuation. It just adds like $10. Okay. Or the product that's level with living benefits and you get it all back. Okay. But I don't do any of that until I know I can get them approved. Okay. And that saves me a lot of time. Now, if they move from the CBO to a payment protector, then, you know, obviously it's not that big of a deal. I just withdraw the app and I start over. But I kind of know which way they're going to go based on their income and their discretionary income. You know, you can kind of, you know, once you go through 100 houses, you can kind of get a sense for that.
Yeah. Hey, and so thank you for sharing that, because I don't think we as a team, I mean, I know I don't do that. I don't talk about that much about pre-approval. So I think that's super strong to get them pre-approved, and then you talking about prices, right? Versus the alternative, right?
Yeah, so when I get all the way to the banking screen and then I say, hey, here's the plan, you get all your money back, and here's the plan you get where if you die, your house is taken care of, but when you don't, it's kind of like car insurance, you don't get it back.
Yeah.
Which one makes most sense to you? Well, I definitely want the money back one, but 282 is a little bit more a month, even though I know they're already putting 300 away.
Yeah.
282 is a little bit more. Okay, no problem. So then what I'll do, and this is something I do a lot. So say the face amount of the mortgage is 200 grand, right? So so if I'm doing a $200 face amount, but if they pass away due to an accident, it's 300,000, right? So what I'll do is I'll move the face amount of the policy down, okay? But I'll never make the accidental death benefit less than what they owe in a house today.
Yeah.
And that'll decrease the premium, okay? Still give them living benefits, still give them all the money back. And if the guy gets run over by a truck tomorrow, the house is still paid off. And they're like, and now I'm the good guy because now they know it's not about me trying to get the highest premium because I'm giving them, an alternative to lower the monthly premium. And again, we're just reallocating the money anyway, so it's not costing their budget anything, and they're getting it all back at the end.
Love it, love it, love it. Awesome, man. Those are great tips. Some things that I'm going to take into my presentation. So thanks for sharing, man. Help me get to the next level. All right, so let's transition a little bit because I know we've been on this for a little bit. I want to kind of move into agency building and kind of go from there. Okay. So you're obviously building a big team. Where are you guys at month to date? Right around.
We were just under 400,000. So I think we're going to hit about 450, 425, 450. We had a really big week last week. We submitted 166 in life this past week. Obviously we know most of it's going to get approved, right? So that's with about 63 writers.
Awesome. So talk to us a little bit about what do you do to get agents on your team kind of going quickly?
I steal all Grady stuff.
What's that?
I steal all Grady stuff.
There you go. I guess we're already winning.
Yeah. So, the smaller we can make the time, Julius, from when the people say, yes, I think this is the right choice for me and my family, and we can get money in their bank account, the better. The wider that gets, the more challenging it gets. Okay. So we always, and I'm looking to shrink it every day. You are, Grady is, Andrew is, we want to shrink that time as much as possible. And the way to do that, like Matt Smith says, is get them on the phones, right? Get people on the phones. People avoid the phones. I talked to an agent today, he just burned his leg on a Harley Davidson. So he's kind of like on the bench before he even got on the field.
Yeah.
But I said, what are you working on? He goes, oh, I'm watching some videos on products. I'm like, dude, I said, put all that stuff in the trunk and, you have to call me in the next 24 hours. We need to role play on phones. Okay. Because he'll call me up and so we'll do a role play, right? And he'll say, hey, is this Eric? I'm like, nope. That's it. It's over. You can't ask if it's the person you're looking for. Or if you say, hey, Eric, this is Julius. How you doing? Shitty. How you doing? Click, calls over. So like we have to get great on the phone. That's why everyone quits. Okay. That's why everyone, has challenges. And they're nervous to buy the next set of leads because they're terrible on the phone. So, phone. I've been working today with a bunch of agents here at corporate that are in our group and just getting them great on the phone, and that's what they have to do. And then, getting great at finding leads, and your team does a great job. I mean, they're always traveling somewhere, whether it's, like Nina's in Florida right now, or, everyone's always traveling somewhere. You've got to go where the leads are. I think, getting leads in their hand as fast as possible, getting them comfortable on the phone, and how fast can they get through those first 100 houses? A couple thousand dials, and how fast can they get through 100 dials? And kind of, we're all independent, so everybody can do what they want to do. But why would you ever want to leave the house without calling your hotline or your manager, whatever system you all have in place? Why would you ever do that family that you went there to serve and your own family a disservice by not calling a Julius or a Gage or, a Grady and say, hey, I'm here with Bob and Mary, and we found something that works for them. They are pre-qualified. We found something in their budget, but, they need to talk to their cousin, who does mortgages. Why would you not call Grady 100 out of 100 times? Because the one time that he says the right thing that clicks with those people, you're able to protect them and provide for your own family. So they have to call from the home.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mean, obviously 100% spot on. The phone's the deal breaker, right? A lot of people are going to talk a big game, but then who's going to actually get into the field and get into the game is the people that's going to get on the phone, right? The people that are going to do the reps. Okay. So if you guys, I know some of you guys wrote, I'm scared of the phone's my Achilles heel, or whatever you're saying, guys, the faster you get over that mentality and that mindset, and you just go to work, the faster you're going to start helping families and get money. Because, most of the time when you sit with a client, they're going to buy. They already told you they're interested. It's our job to really not screw it up, right? I mean, like, we're not really selling. We're helping people buy. That's one thing that I remember Sean said to me, Eric, or not to me, but on a recording or a podcast, where he said, we're really not selling. We're not real. I mean, we're selling, we're salespeople, but the people have already expressed their interest and their intent by filling out a card. And it's our job to go in there and put them in a buying position by asking the right questions, making the right statements, educating them, showing them their options, and, helping them make a good decision. So awesome, man. Awesome. One of the things that I see around our team and probably, around the company is you got agents that come in, they'll write a policy, right? They'll get a commission. And then, they stay in that kind of like 1 to 2 policy zone for, a long period of time and don't get themselves writing. You got a few Hall of Fame producers on your team.
Yep.
Anything you can
two that
share?
are on track right now. Yeah.
How many?
2 are on track right now for HOF.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Outside of me. Yeah.
Anything that you can share with the team of, for new folks that are starting, they, maybe wrote a policy or 2, but kind of helping them kind of move up and write more business and help themselves and their clients?
It's, when I used to live in this neighborhood, and my buddy also lived in the neighborhood, and we would go to the gym every morning, when it was still dark out. And, and I had to pick him up one week. So he knew I was going to be outside at 4:45 waiting for him. So he knew he was going to have to get his butt out of bed, and, and vice versa. I would do it, he would pick me up one week. So I knew like I had to go to work. Right. So I think when people are buying onesies and twosies leads, or they're buying a batch, like, I'm going to get a batch of leads this week. Liz Brennan, this isn't a secret. I'm not talking behind her back. When she had a good week, she bought leads, and then she had a good week. And then if she didn't have a good week, she'd be like, well, I'm going to resolve all those leads and I'm not going to buy any money. And then she would go down even further. Right. So you get on this crazy roller coaster when there's lack of consistency in your business. I mean, just imagine if you owned a pizza place and one week you bought fresh cheese and the next week you didn't buy good cheese. I mean, you wouldn't be in business too long, right?
There'd be some stinky cheese in there.
Yeah, someone be cutting the cheese. So I think you have to find what your budget is. Okay, a lot of people start to freak out, like these $81 retro leads, right? People are like, oh my gosh, $810 a week. That's $3,240 a month. I mean, that's crazy. Right. That's policies. Okay, calm down, relax. Your manager will help you. Everything's going to be fine. I think, people, they commit to these numbers and like, that's more than my mortgage. That's more than my car payment. That's more than my car payment and my mortgage together. So getting people into that business mindset. Okay, and letting them know that lead flow is so important. Lead flow is so important. And I reverse engineer everything. So someone says, hey, I want to do 20,000 this month. I'm like, okay. So if you want to do 20,000 this month, that's 25 applications you have to write. To write 25 applications, you have to have 50 sits. To have 50 sits, you have to have 75 appointments. To get 75 appointments, you need to have 150 fresh leads. Okay. So 150 fresh leads at $25 a lead is $3,750. Okay. That's what we're looking at. So I just wind it backwards, Julius. And if you can't do 30, if you don't want to commit to 3,750, then you're going to commit to more dial time. Okay. First and foremost. Okay. So you get 75 fresh leads, but then you need 150 CRM leads on top of that. So you have 225 leads. So you can get those 75 appointments. So you can sit in those 50 homes. So you can write 25 policies and 20 will stay on the books.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's gold, man. And we either, when people are coming into this, right, they either have time or they have money, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't have a lot of money, then you're going to have to put more time on the phones, like you're saying, and you're going to
Well,
have to.
and that's most. I mean, most people come into this, no disrespect to anyone, but most people come into this because they got furloughed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm right near the casinos here. I mean, they're all out of business. They're back open now, but for the last several months, bars just opened here in Connecticut and restaurants.
Yeah.
Car dealerships were closed for a super long time. So these people didn't have a lot of money, so they had to invest, the 6, 8, 10, 12 hours a day in dialing, to fill up their next 2, 3 days. And people have to work Sunday. I mean, I work every Sunday. I mean, I go to church, we've been doing video church lately at our house, but you don't have to do anything, but if you're not where you want to be financially, either personally or as your agency, then Sunday is a perfect day to work.
Yep.
So I run 5 days and I dial 2.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and then the other last thing I'll touch on that you said is, that number, that lead investment, it is scary for some folks when they're starting, right? Because it is bigger than their mortgage, or it is bigger, their biggest expense all of a sudden. But the thing that we share with folks is you're not going to have to put that out in the beginning in a lump sum, right? You're going to get leads 1 week at a time, right? And typically you're reinvesting commission. So it's not like if you make one initial investment and you sell some policies, you're going to reinvest your commission to get up to that lead expense. So, when I started, if someone had explained that to me that way, I probably would have made an easier transition, but I was the same way. I bought leads 1 week, didn't make a bunch of money. I would try to resolve leads, then I'd buy leads again. And then where my business changes, I just put leads on auto order, and now I don't have to think about it, and it's just go to work. So
yeah, and I remember my first dial session with leads that I spent whatever $20, $30 with, or even if they were $5, and a person would tell me to go fly a kite, I'd be like, oh my God, I just burned $5. Like, or like if it was a $20 or $30 lead and the guy hung up on me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like $30, like it's just gone, and this is, when I was swiping them, like, I'm not going to get into that story right now, but that was, it was unnerving for sure, but you have to control your emotions in this thing. People that have real high emotions or real low emotions, you have to find a way to narrow that gap. Okay. Your highs can't be too high and your lows can't be too low. So Jason Cutts, he's on our team out in Houston. Sat down with a client the other day. He was 60 years old and 350, 350 days. Like, he was just getting ready to turn 61. He had a $300,000 mortgage, super healthy, CFO, made like $30K a month. And long story short, it was $898.02 a month, HMS CVO, approved on the spot, no post dates. Just made a whole bunch of sense to the guy, okay? And approved on the spot, done, right? And he goes, all right, I'm getting ready for my next appointment. Like, he called me from the home. It was a wow factor for sure. He goes, all right, man. I go, what are you doing next? He goes, I got one more appointment. He went in there and it was $64 a month. I mean, the average person not doing what we do, how Sean has all taught us how to do it, probably would have, there's really nothing where to go celebrate anymore right now, but they probably would have found something to do or made up an excuse not to go to that appointment. But he went to his next appointment, and then the next day he had 6 appointments. He sold 5 out of 6, and he had a $25,000 week this week. So,
yeah, awesome.
You have to
day in the office, right?
What's that?
Another day in the office.
And he's in the office today dialing. Yeah,
that's it. Awesome, man. Well, yeah, well, let's wrap this thing up. Anything else you want to share that's on your mind? Any other tips or advice?
I think in this time where we're not having a lot of sales conferences, right? It's I haven't been with the company for a long time, but it's weird, not seeing Grady and Julius and and all the other folks that are I typically would have seen you guys several times at going to Las Vegas because that got postponed from September to December, and we had the Boca Raton and all these different things. So I think you can't get complacent with your training. Okay. If you have this chat on here, right? So, so I would challenge, a few people right now, type in who your top 3 trainers are and, that are outside of FFL America, right? Who are they? I would, because if I ask you who your favorite baseball players are,
Let's ask you, who are your top 3 trainers outside of FFL America? And if you don't have them, you need to go get them. And if you do have them, drop them in the chat. Go ahead.
And I don't count. I'm already here. That's too easy. But I think that's important, because if they don't have, trainers you can't get complacent with the training just because there's not conventions and sales conferences and all these other things. I think you really have to do that. And if you're not already hiring, Rob, Dominique, Matt Smith, Paul McLean is unbelievable, right? So, Easton's really good. We had him on a call the other day. There's some names on here that I don't even know who they are, right? So, but in the beginning, for me, it was Jamie, Euphemia, and Frank, right, for phones and mortgage. Dominique on the phone, and Matt Smith with in-home. If it was a tape recorder, I would have worn it out. So don't miss a call, don't miss a training, don't miss a TNL. I haven't listened to terrestrial radio in a long time. There's nothing really on TV to watch for sports. I fall asleep to TNLs and podcasts, every night. And get really good at buying leads, and buy more than you need. You'll grow into it. And the amount, I don't know how many, people you guys are hiring, right now, but it's definitely a feeding frenzy out there, as far as hiring is concerned, and just keep answering the phone and asking questions.
Eric, hey man, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to help all of us, pour into us, share what you've learned, and super grateful. Awesome to get on here and talk with you, man, and learn from you, and just help me in my business and help everybody on the team. But I look forward to seeing more success from you, obviously, and joining you in the Hall of Fame and wearing a red jacket on stage this year in Miami. It'll be my first time. So I look forward to joining you there, and just keep growing this thing with you, man. So thank you so much.
What I do have is what I'll send to you, Grady. Grady, I'm looking at Grady's picture. He's sitting there smiling at me. Looks like a man. Julius, what I'll send to you is that podcast.
Cool.
All right. So if
I'll share it with the team.
Yeah. So if you want to share it with the team, you can share it out to them. And that's good stuff. Hey, if you could share this recording with me, I'd appreciate it.
You got it. I'll send it to you also. So for those of you guys that are on here, I will share this recording as well as the podcast Eric is talking about in our Slack group. So just be on the lookout for that. And then Eric, I'll shoot you a text with the link.
Yeah, or if you just invite me into the Slack group, then I can share it in there.
I think that's against protocol. We got to ask Grady about that.
I love Grady. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much.
Hey, man, thank you. Appreciate you. Have a great day, man. Take care, you guys. God bless. Bye-bye.